And good morning, everybody. We had the audio glitch, but we fixed it. Thanks for showing up. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for medical freedom and curative medical therapeutics, both of which are egregiously lacking in the marketplace of today. If you are watching this on Rumble or on YouTube, in order to join in my reindeer games, you need to become a subscriber. And you can do that at my website, leavebigpharmabehind.com. Please go there, check it out. Lots of stuff, um, lots of perks for my subscribers. The intention of the information on this website and the information in my book is to help you to pop yourself out of the medical matrix. I'm going to teach you things that you should have been taught when you were in high school, fundamental, foundational, basic things about medicine and health and its recovery, all of which are completely outside of your experience, not through any fault of your own, but because of the fact that we have existed inside of a medical monopoly for over 100 years. And you have, because of the monopoly, you have only been allowed access to one very small piece of the medical pie. I have 36 years of clinical experience as a licensed naturopathic physician, and my intention here is to bring you up to speed about all things medical, and more importantly, to help you to learn what to do to support and promote your body's built-in God-given ability to fix itself from the comfort of your own home. Because ironically, tragically, curiously, healing is easy, more or less. Surgery is complicated. I would not recommend that you attempt surgery on your own, but learning what to do to help your body fix itself, to help your body heal itself is, if you're smart enough to learn to pass the driver's license test, and you're smart enough to learn what to do to help your body fix itself. And that's why I get up in the morning. All of that information is available here. Leave bigpharmabehind.com. Welcome aboard to my subscribers. Let's get right into it. Santa Maria, California is up first. 3 minutes on the mark. What determines whether you start with 2 homeopathic pellets twice a day or pellets with diluted in water, and is the diluted solution always a tablespoon? What's considered a homeopathic aggravation? Other than the 12 bad foods, are there other foods to avoid while taking a homeopathic remedy? You don't need to avoid any foods while taking a homeopathic remedy. You can put the homeopathic medicine into coffee. You can put it into food. It's not a problem. It's best if you take it into your mouth all by itself. There are no prohibitions with the homeopathics, contrary to what you may have been told. A homeopathic aggravation is either the aggravation of an existing symptom. So you have arthritic pain in your elbow, and it's a 5 out of a 10. You take the homeopathic medicine, the pain goes to an 8 out of a 10. That's a homeopathic aggravation. Or you develop the appearance of a brand new symptom after you take the homeopathic. You have a arthritic pain in your elbow, you take the homeopathic and you develop a headache, and you've never had that headache before in your life. That's a homeopathic aggravation. The determination of the frequency of the dose is completely uh, determined by the practitioner, and different people will be given different potency schedules based on the clinical experience or lack thereof of the practitioner. Good question. Smith's Creek is up next. Good morning, Doc. It's Kevin from Port Huron. Kevin, where you been? Where is Chingachgook in Port Huron? That's what I want to know. I truly enjoyed your opening with Brett this morning. I wish you could record those openings and put them on your website. They're so powerful and would be helpful for many of us to use as a resource. This can help friends understand how to heal themselves. So somewhere, uh, I think I did record that. So you want to navigate to the page on the website, the podcast page. Navigate to the podcast page because I think that information on the definition of health is in one of those webinars, one of those video recordings. I appreciate the kind words. My question today is about grounding. And do you think grounding pads and grounding sheets are helpful? The answer is yes. And yes. The second question, does grounding take away inflammation in the body? Thank you for all that you do. You're welcome. So, yeah, it's always a battle in the body with inflammation. And the body has built in mechanisms that it uses to fight the fires of inflammation. And, without those, we would be in pain all of the flippin' time, right? Without the immune system, we'd be sick all of the time. So, the fire department of the body is vitally necessary to have us not be in pain all the freaking time. So, there are a lot of ways to increase the anti inflammatory inherent action of the human body. There's a lot of ways to do that. One way is by grounding, and it's inexpensive. Anybody can do it. I mean, if you live in the Arctic Circle, it's probably not a good idea to expose your bare feet to the snow for more than a couple of minutes. You don't want to get frostbite. But nonetheless, most people on the planet can ground themselves easily just by exposing their bare feet to Mother Earth. And you can crank that up a notch by using the grounding pads, which transfer the electrical energy from the earth or from an electrical outlet to something, that you're sleeping on or you're standing on or sitting on or having your feet on if you sit at a desk all day. The good ideas and very effective. And this is not anecdotal. This is academic. It's been proven with studies that grounding is very effective. So, it's just an extra add-on thing to do. Like, oh, it's a good idea to exercise. It's a good idea to do yoga. It's a good idea to do qigong. It's a good idea to do grounding, right? Excellent question. Thanks for the positive words, Kevin. Go to the podcast section and check it out. I think I have an iteration of my definition of health there somewhere. Gracie from Chicago is up next. Timestamp for Gracie, 8 minutes on the button. Will taking 1 super selenium with vitamin E daily from Life Extension deplete my copper? Yes. Also, I take 1 teaspoon of Bob Mills baking soda with water every morning. Is that too much? Should it be a half a teaspoon instead? Nobody knows. You can try a half a teaspoon for 7 days versus a teaspoon and see if you notice a difference. The difference, of course, here would be oxygen uptake into the cells of the body. That's why we do the baking soda, to increase oxygen uptake in the cells of the body, which would then give you a sense of more energy, like more clarity. So look to see if you notice a difference between 1 teaspoon versus 1 tablespoon. Okay. And yeah, well, if you're doing the 90 essential nutrients, which is what we advocate, this has copper in it. So, however, if you are taking, in addition to this, a standalone selenium supplement, then you should also supplement with copper. My favorite form of copper is by a company called Natural Immunogenics. It's the same company that makes the Argentin 23 colloidal silver. Okay. Janice from North Kakalaki is up next, 925. What causes tonsil stones? What do you do to get rid of them? That's a really good question. I'm not sure what the cause is. Not really sure what the cause is. And, it's a funny thing to hear a doctor say out loud, but it's true nonetheless, especially, that you'd only hear a holistic physician say this. That in the wonderful world of medicine, the cause of the disease most of the time is irrelevant. We're not concerned with what the cause of the disease is, unless it's a constant thing. Like, you have liver cirrhosis and you drink a fifth of whiskey every day. Well, that needs to stop. You have chronic bronchitis and you smoke a pack of cigarettes every day. Well, that has to stop, right? So there are exceptions to this rule, but mostly we are more concerned with the symptomatic expression of the illness rather than the presumptive or the known cause of the illness. And you want to think this through because the medical doctors are, they are the poster children of naming disease and classifying disease and subclassifying and sub-subclassifying. And, there's 500 new diseases added to the diagnostic manual every year. And it's nuts. But the medical doctors know how to diagnose a disease, but they have no idea what causes it and they have no idea what to do to cure it. This is a very important distinction to understand. And this is why we have a chronic disease epidemic, because your medical doctor isn't taught how to cure disease. They're taught how to manage the disease, right? They suppress the symptoms, they manage the symptoms, they kick the can down the road, and rarely is anything cured. I mean, they don't even know how to cure heartburn, for goodness sakes. So, this is a big problem, and this is why we have a chronic disease epidemic. It's not because the successful treatment of someone with a disease is difficult. It's because the people who are in charge of medicine don't know how to do it. And because they're so arrogant, and there's so much hubris built into that profession, that they therefore don't think any other medical professional can do it either. No, this is a problem, right? So when you suppress the symptom and manage the disease, and suppress the symptom and manage the disease, and suppress the symptom and manage the disease, you get sicker and weaker and sicker and weaker. And then you go bankrupt from all the meds that you're taking, and then you die. And this is supposed to be the best medicine that money can buy. It's bullshit. It is 100% bad. Now, MD directed medicine is good for trauma care, military field surgery, right? And surgery when it's necessary. The complications of childbirth, right? It's good for that. And by the way, that's where the only advances, the major advances in medicine have been made in the last 100 years, have been in the surgical theater. New drugs, new surgical equipments, new surgical techniques. They're really good at that because that's the epitome of reductionism, which is the philosophy that their system of medicine is based upon. But for everything else, they suck at what they do because they're only trained how to manage the problem. And Bobby Kennedy is not going to fix that. What Bobby Kennedy is doing is lipstick on a pig, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody knows there's corruption in conventional medicine. Everybody knows there's corruption in medical journals. We've known about this for 25 years. And conventional medical doctors have been talking about this for a long time. It's a known fact. But cleaning up all the corruption in medicine is not going to do a damn thing to fix the problem, which is, what are we going to do for the disease epidemic? Well, we have to let the doctors who know how to cure the illness to the table. We need medical freedom. That is the Zen sword that will cut through all of this nonsense. And, that's where the research needs to go. The research needs to go into the curative forms of medicine, and that's not going to happen. Because remember the mantra of the pharmaceutical industry: a patient cured is a customer lost. But I don't think I answered your question. Tonsil stones. So there are a few homeopathic medicines which are have been successful for people who have been diagnosed with tonsil stones. So that would need to be individually worked up. And remember, we have an 83% success rate with anything. I don't care what illness it is. We have an 83% success rate with this. You stop eating these foods, you start taking these nutritional supplements every day. And then there's a couple of add-ons. If you have asthma, you add this. If you have high blood pressure, you add that. And that's all outlined on the website and in the book. And when people do these two simple things, they're 83% of the time recover their health. We just had a woman, she had 100 intestinal polyps. They all disappeared just with this, right? And that's the tip of the iceberg. So the short answer to your question is it doesn't matter what causes it. What are we going to do? We're going to support and promote your body's ability to fix itself because it can. And how do we do that? Well, initially, we take these supplements and we stop eating these foods, period. And if that doesn't cut the mustard, then you need to find a competent homeopathic physician or call my office and set up an appointment with me. Okay? Okay, very good. Phil's back. What's going on, Phil? 16 minutes on the button. Thanks for your time. I'm continuing to take the Tucrium marum 200C for 10 days. Phil had nasal polyps, by the way. I recommended he take a homeopathic medicine called Tucrium. No change was noted. I then moved to conium and still have not observed any changes in completing the cure. My lungs are still full of mucus, making it hard to move an extended distance or climb stairs. But my breathing and sinus headaches are still greatly reduced after the initial Tucrium 30C. Do you have any other general recommendations? No. And this is the drill, right? This is how we do things here. We do the generic things first. And if those don't cut the mustard, you come to the Q&A, you ask me, well, what else can I do generically? I give you advice. And if that doesn't work all the way, then your treatment needs to be individualized. So you would need to, schedule an appointment with me. And I would do a comprehensive review of your symptoms and come up with a treatment plan. Because remember, in holistic medicine, we don't diagnose a disease, we diagnose a treatment. We don't treat disease, we treat people, right? Now, 83% of the time, the generic stuff works. 17% of the time, it doesn't. And that's when you need a private appointment. Okay. So that's how we do it. And I appreciate your patience. Nate in Pasadena is up. What's going on, Nate? 17 minutes and 45 seconds. Thanks always for your time. When we go to a restaurant with family and friends during a trip and eat things outside of our normal diet, we've gotten into the habit of taking ultimate enzymes before eating. Does this really help and make a difference? Yes. It takes a village unless you're eating, then it takes a villi. Ah! I don't know why I didn't think that up, Nate, but I am going to use it. Well, it can't hurt, right? It can't hurt. And I have to tell you that different people have different sensitivities to the bad foods. If it's oil in a bottle or fried food or a baked potato, then the enzymes are not going to help a bit. They're not going to help at all. Because that stuff is going to promote inflammation in the body. So what you can do when you fall off of the wagon is take more selenium and the tangy tangerine tablets, because one tablet has 25,000 ORAC in it. Right. So we want to increase the strength of the fire department of your body to put out the fires of inflammation that are caused by the consumption of the bad foods. Presumptively, the only thing that the enzymes would help with is the digestion of the grains, right? But for the other stuff, you would need more fire department help, excuse me, which would be selenium and more ORAC. It's a very good question. Barbados is up next. Timestamp for Barbados, 1935. G'day, Doc. How do you strengthen the prostate of a 50-year-old male? What supplement should he take for that? What test should he get to check the health of his prostate? What does it mean if the stream of the urine of a male decreases when he goes to the bathroom? Is it because of the weakening of the prostate? No, it's not because of the weakening. It's because of the swelling of the prostate. So there is a little tube that goes from the bladder to the vaginal opening in a woman, to the tip of the penis, through the penis in a man, and that's where the pee comes out. It's called the urethra. It's a long straw. It's like a long hose. All right. And in a man, the hose is wrapped around. I can't I can't do a good visual here. The hose goes adjacent to the prostate, and the prostate wraps around the hose, right? If the prostate swells, it can constrict the hose and make it hard to pee because the hose is constricted. So it's a swelling of the prostate most of the time. Sometimes it's a tumor in the prostate, but that's rare. Mostly it's swelling of the prostate. What causes swelling of the prostate? Your medical doctor causes swelling of the prostate. How do I know that? Because while you were under the care of your medical doctor, it happened. Well, it's their fault. It's their job to keep you healthy, isn't it? Isn't that why you're paying medical insurance premiums every month? This is a fact that goes right over the heads of most people. They pay a small fortune in medical insurance premiums over the course of their life. And while they're doing that, they get sick. While they are under the care of the MD, they got sick. And nobody bitches about that. And then the medical doctor has no idea what causes the problem, no idea what to do to cure the problem, and can only throw a drug or a surgical procedure at the problem to manage the problem. And everybody's okay with that. The only reason everybody is okay with that is because of the medical monopoly, which has been in place for over 100 years, which only allows this failed system of medicine to be available to most people, and which paints myself and all of my colleagues as back of the bus quacks with substandard dangerous training. That's why this happens. Perhaps I need to drink less coffee. So, for someone with a swollen prostate, here's what is necessary: the 90 essential nutrients, the elimination of the 12 bad foods, 2 bottles of selenium for 8 weeks, 2 bottles of selenium for 8 weeks, and then 1 bottle of selenium for the rest of your life. 2 bottles of the good herbs prostate support, 2 bottles of the good herbs prostate support for 8 weeks. That's 4 milliliters twice a day. And the immersion of the pelvis into cold water between 55 and 65 degrees cold water for 3 minutes twice a day. It's called a sitz bath, SITZ. And I don't care if you use a sitz bath, that's the easiest thing to do. But maybe you can find another way to soak your pelvis in cold water for 3 minutes twice a day. And also doing scissor kicks. You lie on your side and the upper leg, you lift it up as many times as you can. Then you rest for a minute, then you lift it as many times as you can, and then you rest for a minute, and then you do a third set as many times as you can, and then you flip over to the other side and do the same thing with the other leg. Twice a day. Scissor kicks twice a day. Okay? Okay, very good. I mean, if you spent $50,000 on a new car and the transmission fell out, you'd pitch a fit and you'd want your money back. But when you spend beaucoup dinero on medical insurance and then you get sick, you don't blink a freaking eyelash. It's because we have been culturally conditioned to believe that sickness is the new health, that sickness is inevitable, and that the only people that can possibly fix that have an MD after their name, and all of those things are wrong. Matthew from the Palm Coast is up next. What's going on, Matt? 2430. Energetic disease as it pertains to STDs. About 3 weeks ago, you mentioned something about the lines that STDs could be energetic in nature. They are. They're not microbial. And that the energy exchange between the two could knock one or both person systems out of balance. Does this mean that two people who have no known STDs could display symptoms afterwards if they were receptive to the imbalance, or does one have to already have the imbalance? One has to already have the imbalance. And two, that even partial protection from STDs is a myth. That is correct. That is correct. You can't, it's an energetic thing. It is not a material thing. And it's a stress, right? It's a stress to the body. The only thing that causes a disease of any name is stress, negative stress. Remember that. Health is the ability of a living organism to experience stress and remain symptom free. So there's all kinds of stress. So the idea here is to strengthen the body so that it can handle the stress of life. The stress hits the body and bounces off like the phasers off of, the force field of the Starship Enterprise, bounces off. Now, eventually, in anybody's life, there will be a stress which is too much for them to handle. And, I don't know anything that's going to, you know, prevent a buzz saw from cutting your finger off, heaven forbid, right? So, but generally speaking, as we walk down the road of life, it's all about the internal strength of the body and the external strength of the stress. So these are the things that need to be adjudicated. Now, as we go downstream longer with taking this and not eating this, the body gets stronger. And when we treat ourselves holistically, when we do become symptomatic, we get stronger, especially with homeopathy and acupuncture. We get stronger from those treatments. So it's like that. I like the way that you think, Matthew. Did you tell your brother about that remedy? Okay, Diana's up next. Timestamp for Diana, 27 minutes and 2 seconds. 2 questions today. I use ghee from a jar. Is coconut oil in a solid state in a jar okay too? No, it's an oil. Don't use any oils. Do not use any oil. Ghee is fine. Are there any unhealthy impacts to drinking organic coffee? Not that I'm aware of. People think that, there's a bunch of phytates in coffee and that's a problem. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. Is the honest answer is I don't know. However, I am not an objective juror here. I don't know is the honest answer. Okay. Santa Maria is up next. Oh, Santa Maria, 28 minutes on the button. What determines whether you start with 2 homeopathic pellets twice a day? Oh, we already got that question. I'm taking a combination of 350 milligrams of nettles and quercetin for itching that I get when I'm trying to sleep in bed. Is there such a thing as too much per day? Any ideas on how to help the itching? I'm currently taking sulfur 30C as you suggested. Yeah, so if the quercetin and nettles is um, successful, it will be suppressive. It won't be curative. If the sulfur is successful, it will be curative. So we always attempt to cure the condition. We always attempt to cure the condition, right? That was the name of my second book, Attempt to Cure. And cure has become a 4-letter word in medicine, right? You're not even supposed to utter the word cure. I had a colleague who wrote a book, it had cure in the title, and then they made him change it. This is the world that we live in. It's bad. It's really bad. And, again, maha is lipstick on a pig. What the world needs is medical freedom. Period. Hard stop. End of discussion. Naturopathic doctors, homeopathic doctors, chiropractic doctors, Ayurvedic doctors, acupuncturists, hands-on healing doctors, botanical medicine practitioners all need to be allowed a seat at the table with equal rights, equal privileges, period. Universities need to be encouraged to do research on holistic systems of medicine, period. But Big Pharma will not allow this. They won't. You know why? Because if we did, in fact, have medical freedom, most medical doctors would be out of a job and the pharmaceutical industry would tank and take about 5 years. because in a free market, people gravitate towards what works. Holistic medicines are curative. I don't care if you believe that or not, but that's the truth. After 36 years of clinical work, that is what differentiates a holistic treatment from a reductionistic treatment is the holistic treatment attempts to cure the condition. The reductionistic treatment does not. And the medical doctor doesn't think you can cure it. You know how many times we've had patients that come to see us, they've been suffering with something for 5 years. They've got congestive heart failure, an enlarged heart. It's not getting any better. More and more and more drugs. They're finally at the end of their rope. They come and see us, myself or one of my colleagues. 6 months later, the heart's normal. The congestive heart failure's gone. They go back to the cardiologist. The cardiologist, oh, I can't believe it. What did you do? Oh, I went to see a naturopathic doctor. The cardiologist gets up and walks out of the room. Now, you would think that somebody who had devoted their life to healing people, you know, that's a lie in MD land because they don't. But they're supposed to be healers. You would think that somebody who had that job would be really excited and want to know more, but they never do. We're still waiting for that phone call from the conventional medical doctor. Oh my God, how did you do that? I need to know. They don't care because there's so much cognitive dissonance built into that profession that is mind numbing. Metaphor intended. Okay. So you want to give the sulfur 7 days. If the sulfur doesn't work, then you need a private appointment. All right. Betsy's up next. Timestamp for Betsy 32:15. I thought baking soda would neutralize stomach acid, and then it may take up to 4 hours. I don't know who told you the 4-hour thing. Yet the focus today seems to be on oxygenation of tissues. Okay, so there was a misunderstanding. Jerry Tennant, you should do a web search for Jerry Tennant. He has a book called Healing is Voltage. Healing is Voltage, Jerry Tennant. And it is his observation, which is correct, that as the human body ages, its ability to the ability of each individual cell to absorb oxygen from the blood is diminished from the aging process. And baking soda will help that. Baking soda will help it. That's why we recommend baking soda. And remember, your stomach, if you are taking the 90 essential nutrients and salting your food so that it tastes good, and you have eliminated a carbonated beverage with a meal, then your stomach acid in about 6 months will optimize and will be perfectly healthy. And with perfectly healthy stomach acid, it's hard to upset that apple cart with something like baking soda, although the baking soda should be done away from a meal. You should not do baking soda with a meal, the same reason that you should not do alkalinized water during a meal, because the alkalinized water will reduce the stomach acid, the baking soda will reduce the stomach acid, and the stomach will have to fight harder to make it, and that's just an unnecessary stress. So take it away from a meal. And I don't know how long, nobody knows how long. If anybody tells you that they know how long, then they're lying, because everybody's different. You have a different age, a different height, a different sex, a different genetic makeup, a different percent body fat, different metabolic rate, different latitudes on the planet make a difference. So it's an in-house experiment, but the only reason that we do baking soda is to increase the oxygenation of the cells, which also, interestingly enough, is a cancer preventive. It's a cancer preventive, additionally, which is interesting. Okay. St. Augustine, Florida. St. Augustine, Florida, excuse me, is up next. I'm drinking my coffee too fast. 3520. It's Margie. What's going on, Margie? I'm doing the parasite cleanse for 6 months. Can you do the beet juice cleanse at the same time? Yes, you can do it at the same time. There's no harm and no foul. 6 months of the parasite cleanse. That's interesting. Good girl. I love it when people follow my advice. Okay, Matthew from the Palm Coast 2.0, 3555. Would it be possible for you to have your podcasts additionally available as audio only files? Yeah, I could do that. I've never thought about doing that. So let me investigate that. Okay? Okay, very good. I appreciate the advice and the heads up. Okay, hi Dr. G. So I was on a call earlier this morning with the guy that developed the Good Herbs Company. And this is a report from someone who was listening to 3636. Doc, you're on fire on 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 Brett's website this morning. Thank you again for the cure for my tumors. It happened so fast. I'm really getting better clarity of my whole life too. So this person had a tumor in the breast and it went away in 14 days. And it wasn't suppressed. It was cured. That beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. You're welcome. Okay, someone who has a daughter with a head cold, 37 minutes and 10 seconds. My daughter is here and has had a cold with sinus congestion. It's much better for the sinus congestion is still present. She has done the sinus rinses. What would be some other options? Well, remember when I recommend a homeopathic medicine in the context of a live Q&A, it's an intuitional thing because 99 times out of 100, the homeopathic must be individualized. But sometimes we get lucky. Have her take this, calibichromicum in the 30C potency. Have her take 2 pellets orally for 5 days in a row. 2 pellets orally for 5 days in a row. 2 pellets orally twice a day for 5 days in a row. Calibichromicum 30C. Okay? Okay, very good. I have a blood sugar question. 38 minutes and 5 seconds. Doc, I'm taking the blood sugar pack that you recommended and it has helped me so much. Boom. Can we get some fireworks? No, we cannot get some fireworks. My question is, do I need to be taking more supplements like vitamin B12, zinc, magnesium? No, if you're taking the blood sugar pack, you're getting all of that. Right? So you're doing this, basically you're doing this plus sweeties. And this is our whole method this is holistic medical nutrition. We are not advocates of fractionated medical nutrition, which is what everybody does, and it's stupid. It's not smart to do that. Take shitloads of vitamin D, lots of vitamin C, intravenous doses of vitamin C. Okay, well, it's not a good idea. What you want to do is give the body everything that it needs and formulas that it can actually absorb. That's a much better thing. So you're already getting everything that you need. You don't need to do anything extracurricular here. It's very important that you understand that. Okay? Okay. So when you are dealing with a blood sugar issue, if you want to up the ante with your body's ability to have normal blood sugar, then here's what you can do. In addition to this, you would add 2 bottles of the Ultimate EFA Plus, or the EFA Plus, at 90 count each. So that's 180 EFA plus 180 Ultimate EFA. That's 360 capsules a month. divided by 30 is 12 a day. So you do 4 of the EFAs with breakfast, 4 with lunch, and 4 with dinner, 12 a day, plus 2 of the Sweeties capsules twice a day with food at the same time. So 2 with breakfast, 2 with lunch, or 2 with lunch and 2 with dinner, or 2 with breakfast and 2 with dinner. Whatever one you decide to do, stick with that and don't deviate from it. So 4 Sweeties a day and 12 EFAs a day for 60 days. And look to see what that does to your blood sugar. And remember, getting on the other side of a chronic health condition with holistic medicine is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it should happen. And it's like watching ice melt in the springtime. You get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better every couple of weeks. So don't expect the same thing to happen with a holistic therapeutic as happens with pharmaceuticals, which is an instantaneous change. You have a headache, you take the Tylenol, it goes away in 10 minutes. It's not like that with this. It's a longer thing. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But you should see sequential, consistent change, right? Okay, very good. All right. Let me see. We've got a bunch of people watching on YouTube, which was unexpected. I didn't, this is the first time I've streamed my live Q&A to YouTube. I don't know why I haven't done that in the past. We've got 62 people watching on YouTube. So we've got 10 minutes left here, so I'm going to just randomly answer a couple of questions from my YouTube people. Okay. What do we do for plantar fasciitis? So plantar fasciitis, guaranteed, is caused by consistent consumption of one or more foods that are inflammatory, and you don't know it. It can be as butter, right? You could be intolerant to butter. You could be intolerant to red organic grapes. Who the hell knows? It could be anything. So plantar fasciitis is always a combination of consistent consumption of an inflammatory food, plus your body has run out of the nutrients that it needs to keep the bones and ligaments of your foot healthy. I mean, if your tire on your car needs 30 pounds of air, but it's only got 10, it's going to roll off the rim if you go around a corner too hard. If your engine needs 8 quarts of oil, but you only have 2, it's only a matter of time until the engine seizes and catches on fire, and there's nothing wrong with the engine. It just ran out of oil. So the first thing to consider with any disease, or most diseases, is that your body has simply run out of the stuff that it needs to fix itself, and you are unwittingly eating something on a regular basis that's hurting you. It's not a good idea. So here's the method. For 90 days in a row, you stop eating all these foods. And if you become a subscriber to my website, leavebigpharmabehind.com, right? Leavebigpharmabehind.com. I'll put it up here somewhere if I can. Hold on, kids. Right here. Leavebigpharmabehind.com. If you become a subscriber, you will have access to a video which explains why these foods are bad. It explains the rationale behind the medical nutrition. It explains a lot of things. I have hundreds of hours of instructional videos on my website, hundreds. The intention of which is to educate you so much that you pop out of the freaking medical matrix, you fire your medical doctor, and you learn what to do to make yourself healthy, because it's not that hard. So we stop eating these foods. We take these nutritional supplements. Here's what I would recommend for you per month for 3 months in a row. 1 bottle of Tangy Tangerine 2.5 powder, 2 bottles of Beyond OsteoFX liquid, 2 bottles of the plant-derived mineral liquid, and 1 bottle of Ultimate EFA. And you can purchase those here. Get them here. EiffelHealth.com. Get them here. EiffelHealth.com. Okay. So that's what I would do for 90 days and keep your fingers crossed and tell me what happens. Now, remember, this is not a plantar fasciitis treatment. This is a treat because we can't treat disease, right? I can treat a person who has been told by a medical doctor that they have a disease, but we're not treating the disease, we're treating you. So, and because it's holistic in nature, once you engage the therapeutic, you want to look to see how it makes you feel across the board. In addition to your feet, how's your mood, your energy, your appetite, your sex drive, your sleep, the whole enchilada, because it's all connected. And this is the beauty of the holistic method, which is lost on most people with an MD after their name. Okay. High blood pressure. The first thing to consider with high blood pressure is that you're living next to a Democrat, and the energy of the Democrat has infiltrated your auric field and spiking your blood pressure. All right, it's got nothing to do with that. But I couldn't resist. There's a saying in medicine that when you hear hoofbeats, you think about horses before you think about zebras, which means you think about the most common things that cause things before you think about weird things that cause things. So, the first thing to consider with high blood pressure is it is a deficiency in calcium and magnesium, period. Because your blood vessels constrict and relax, constrict and relax, constrict and relax in order to help pump blood throughout your body. By the way, it is impossible, it is mechanically impossible for your heart or my heart or anybody else's heart to pump blood all the way through the body and back to the heart. It can't do it. It does not have the mechanical strength to do it. It is impossible for that to happen. The heart is a valve that tells blood where to go. There are other mechanisms that move blood through the body. One mechanism is the constriction and the relaxation of the blood vessel, which is managed by calcium and magnesium. So if you don't have enough calcium and magnesium, which most people don't have enough calcium and magnesium, your blood vessel will constrict, but it won't relax, and your blood pressure goes up. It's like squeezing a hose, and the water comes out faster. So we do the supplements in the diet for 90 days, and 83% of the time, the blood pressure comes down. A lot of other things improve too, right? Because you just don't know how you've gotten used to feeling bad. You know, it's like you put the mouse in the cold water and you slowly turn the heat up. He stays in there until he boils to death. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's an interesting metaphor. All right, here's how many nutrients the body needs. Here's how many nutrients are in your food. The stress of life burns through your reserves and then things start to break. And then you go to a medical doctor who doesn't know any of that and they throw a drug at it. Well, you'd be surprised at how good you feel once you start to nutrify. And I don't make any money from the sale of the supplements that I recommend. I don't even like the people that own the company that make the supplements. I don't. But I recommend them because in 36 years of clinical work, they're the most effective supplements I've ever seen. And the supplements are made by a company in California called Longevity, and they are sold through a network of distributors all around the world. Go to this distributor, eiffelhealth.com. So what I would do for blood pressure is 1 Tangy Tangerine 2.5 powder per month, 2 Osteo FX liquid per month, 1 plant-derived mineral per month, and 1 Ultimate EFA per month. Do that for 90 days. Okay? I'm sensitive to stevia and tomatoes. What supplements would you recommend these? Okay. What brand of calcium and magnesium do you recommend these? Right? Here, go here and get these. The calcium and magnesium supplement is called Beyond Osteo FX. Beyond Osteo FX. The best calcium supplement I've ever seen in my life. And then nothing else even comes close. It's like the Ferrari of nutritional supplements. Okay. If somebody's looking for electrolytes, it would be the plant-derived minerals would be much better. And this company produced a sports drink specifically for professional athletes. And there was a very famous basketball player who wouldn't go on the court without it, but they made him put it in a Gatorade bottle. And that's why Gatorade started making Gatorade in different colors, because the color of this product in his bottle was different than the color of Gatorade. I can't tell you what his name was. But that product is called Rebound FX. Rebound FX. If you're a sports person, you should try the Rebound FX. It will make a difference. All right. Dr. G, this is Ron. The 14-year-old boy had never had an epileptic seizure before. The doctor says the fever spiked the seizure, and now they are prescribing medication. What can we do to prevent seizures? Well, if he's never had it before and it was provoked by the fever, then give the homeopathic aconite. And that should fix the problem. Now, remember, the child needs to be nutrified, because with disease, it's always about the strength of the stress versus the strength of the body. And we have to strengthen the body internally. How are we going to do that? We have to nutrify the body. We have to give the body the raw materials that it needs. And the problem is that the nutrients that the human body needs are not in the flipping food anymore. And that, thank you, agribusiness. Thank you, Monsanto. And by the way, Congress knew that in the 1930s. The United States Department of Agriculture reported to Congress that there's an alarmingly decreased amount of minerals in the soil and something needs to be done. Congress didn't do a goddamn thing. So as minerals go down in the soil, the minerals go down in the food. As minerals go down in the food, minerals go down in the human body. As minerals go down in the human body, chronic disease goes up. Everybody must be supplementing with the 90 essential nutrients, and everybody must stop eating these foods, period. Hard stop. It's as simple as that. And people say, oh, that's too easy, doc. Yeah, well. Okay. What do I suggest for balding men hair loss? Well, there are a lot of things that are going on with hair loss. The first thing to consider is that the body has just run out of nutrients, and it's robbing nutrients from the hair and the nails to keep the heart alive, because you're running on nutrient fumes. That's one thing to consider. And another thing to consider is that because there's a toxic buildup of crap in the blood, the perspiration that you create is damaging the hair follicles, because there's nasty chemicals in the perspiration because you're a toxic wasteland. That's another thing to consider. So what do we do? Well, we fill the body's nutritional tank up with the right stuff. We stop eating food that's hurting the body. And then we give the body hair support. Now, there's an interesting thing that I have only recently become aware of. It's the use of fermented onion juice on the hair. And just do a web search for fermented onion juice hair loss, and you'll see the recipe. Try it. I haven't tried it, but I understand the mechanism, and I think it's a smart idea. But we have to not overlook the fundamentals, right? You cannot overlook the fundamentals. There are 90 essential nutrients that the human body needs to function properly. A nutrient is called essential if the body needs it but cannot make it. The essential nutrients are not in the food anymore. Some of them are, or we'd all be dead. But the lion's share are not there, period. There's things that we need to do to live, right? You need to breathe air, you need to drink water, you need to eat food, you need to put warm clothes on when you go out into cold weather. Well, guess what? You need to swallow this stuff because it gives you everything essential that your body needs. Well, and that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. It's like giving a plant fertilizer. Well, it's going to get bigger and stronger. This isn't rocket science, but it's lost on most people because of the freaking medical monopoly. Maybe I should switch to decaf. Oh my God. Okay, we are out of time. So, by the way, I do this twice a week, 1 hour twice a week for my subscribers. This was the first time I've done it on YouTube, so I wanted to answer a couple of questions in YouTube just to give you a taste. Because the idea for me here is to drive you to my website to become a subscriber so you can learn what to do. It's not that hard. You should have been taught the stuff that myself and my colleagues know in high school. You should have, but you weren't. So please visit my website, leavebigpharmabehind.com, to become a subscriber. When you become a subscriber, enter the coupon code Glidden, capital G, I think. Try it either all lowercase or with a capital G. I can't remember. You get a 30% discount on the price of a subscription. And that's locked in, by the way. Even if I change the subscription prices in the future, it's locked in as long as you maintain a subscription. Okay? Okay. All right. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your open-mindedness. I appreciate your desire to change. Because after 36 years of clinical work, as a licensed naturopathic doctor treating real people with real disease, I can honestly tell you that most people are suffering needlessly simply because they just don't know what to do. And it's my job to help you know what to do. All right. I'm your Huckleberry, and that's just my game. Live long and prosper. God willing, and the creek don't rise. I will see you all around campus.